Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 244 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on January 14th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing on this fine, brisk winter day? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, and I'm very excited because we have two technical publications for you today. That's right. Both papers focus on the performance of the new PTR VENT Spiritus 556i. That's a mouthful for you. Yeah, this is a 6-inch long Inconel 556 silencer in the PTR VENT series. It's pretty nuts. I think you guys are really going to want to see it. The silencer wars are heating up. I've been telling you. The arms race that I think we've helped create is frankly a bit out of control. And so, you really love to see competition. You love to see things happen. So I'm pretty stoked to be able to speak with you about it. What a time to be alive. Yeah, so this is the intro episode for this silencer and the two articles. The next episode, in which I will speak technically about the silencer and its performance, walking through the publications like we typically do, that will most likely occur after SHOT Show, which is next week. So in the meantime, enjoy this intro, enjoy the articles, you'll take SHOT Show off, imbibe all the wonderful new wares people will show you, and then we'll reconvene after that when the dust is settled, and we'll talk nerd stuff. How does that sound? Okay. Yeah, so on with the show. So if you've been here before, welcome back. Yeah, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're glad to have you here. Always remember, there are timestamps in the episode description wherever you listen to this, whether it be Spotify or YouTube or Amazon Music, it doesn't matter, iTunes, wherever you are listening to this podcast, there are timestamps available. So if you want to skip to the topics with those timestamps, it's a free country. Go ahead and do that. But if you don't want to, I just want to hang out, I'm going to read some ads because that makes the podcast happen. And if I don't do that, then there's no podcast. So we'll do that right now. This podcast is sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, really anything's worth doing without consistency. Okay, you have to do things all the time if you want to excel at them. Legion Athletics is a company I really admire for that because they can help you, and it's pretty cool. You know what you're getting, which I like. Really, really good, solid ingredients in clinically effective doses. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. Sometimes folks ask me, "Well, do I just use them for everything? Do they have everything you need?" And I say, no, they probably don't. I don't think any one company does have everything, but these guys do have a lot. So visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. One thing they added lately was creatine. They didn't used to have, and that's like a huge thing for me, so I was pretty stoked. When you go there, use code word PScience to save 20% off your first order, which is huge, or could be huge, right? And then if you keep using it, you'll get 10% off with points. So that's a lot of money. Because I know you guys. If you're like me in any way, you're going to spend money on this stuff, and because you're going to buy it like periodically, you're going to buy it like on a recurring basis rather, and so saving money is like kind of important because it's a recurring expense, right? So do it, get strong. It's important. Help the podcast. Podcast is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. That's right. They've done a lot for the industry. Looking forward to seeing some of those peeps at the SHOT Show there. They're cool, man. They do a lot of things. If you're a new dealer, just looking to if you want to start selling silencers, talk to Silencer Shop. Maybe get their kiosk. It'll help you out. You can use their kiosk, your fingerprints and photos electronically. You cut down on your errors with your paperwork and everything. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee, which is pretty wild. You don't pay any transfer fees either when you use them. So, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly a silencer ownership simplified. Also, Top Gun Range Houston is a sponsor of this podcast, and they're really important for the community. They're located in Houston, as is the name. And if you're just passing through, or maybe if you live in Houston and you haven't been, I urge you to go check out that range. It's 15 lanes. It's indoors. And they have a rental inventory where you can rent firearms, and it's the largest in Texas, which is nuts. And when you rent the pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns and everything, you can also rent silencers, which I cannot overstate to you how important that is. It's really great. They have all the test hosts from Pew Science. You should be able to do it. You shoot whatever. It's cool. You can find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range. Go check them out, topgunrange.com. Also, podcast is brought to you by Capital Armory. You've heard of them, right? Because it's no secret that the silencers are in high demand. And if you're a consumer and you think you don't need to look at multiple places to buy your silencers, you're kidding yourself. Okay? Approval times they're still pretty quick. So things are going to go out of stock. You're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to be flexible if you want to procure things. That is how it's capitalism, right? So Capital Armory can help you, and they have a unique twist that a lot of people are not offering. You can get your silencer directly to your door. So you can order something in your living room and then get the silencer to that same living room. It's pretty wild. You have to be in one of those states where silencers are legal, which are like 42 of them right now. But yeah, you can do it. It's really that easy. Capital Armory, silencer ship directly to your door. And finally, and most importantly, forever, no matter what, the podcast is brought to you by the Pew Science Laboratory. I am the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we have chosen to continue to sponsor this podcast every week, mostly. We have chosen to continue to publish public research as well. Our mission is to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. That was our founding mission. That remains our mission now, almost 5 years later. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It remains the simplest and most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. Pew Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections in the standard, and it contains the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world publicly. Like, there is nothing that compares to it at all, which is awesome because you all made it happen. Check it out, pewscience.com. And when I say you made it happen, you really did, because you can support Pew Science. You can support this podcast. You can support all the testing we do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. Yeah, man, it's for the people, by the people. There's a donate feature, too, if you just want to throw us extra, which is always welcome. Go buy yourself something nice. No, every little bit helps. But, of course, monetary contributions are great. But if you can't do that, that's, of course, okay. And something that's free doesn't cost you anything except for maybe your time and karma is to, rate the podcast good on your favorite podcast provider. Like and subscribe. Spread the word. Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome, okay? At the end of the day, like, if you can't shoot silencers with your buddies, like, what are you even doing? Like, at the end of the day, I got 2 topics for you today, guys. Sound signature review 6175, the PTR VENT Spiritus 556i in the standard 10.3 inch Mark 18. That's right, tested on the Mark 18 first, and we're going to talk about this in the intro. It's crazy. And then topic 2, sound signature review 6176, the VENT Spiritus on the standard 14.5 inch M4A1RIII mid-gas system. Yeah, so we did that too. And there was a really amazing physical discovery in that test program and really exceptional performance demonstration as well. And so it's really interesting. And this is going to give you guys a window into what happens when you lengthen the barrel with this tech. Well, specifically this tech in the silencer. So we'll do the intro for that. There's a lot. 2 articles today. It's crazy. So let's move into topic 1 at a time of 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Very good. 1 moment. Okay, topic 1. Sound signature review 6175, the PTR VENT Spiritus on the Mark 18. Okay, so it's back. The VENT series is back. This time it's an Inconel. It's a 6-inch long package. It's got an extremely advanced design, frankly. And PTR military technology has trickled down to consumers. And I'm being serious, because there are military things that exist. And this now has features of that. And it's cool. This is a very interesting implementation of the PIP, the purposely induced porosity. And when you look at this article, the shooter's ear hazard reduction is wild. Okay, so this is we're just going to go through an intro talk here on this topic. This is the first time you're really hearing about the silencer. I think I saw today on social media. I think they might have teased it, and I think their website's live for it. So people are talking about it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's cool. But this is the first time you're really going to see any performance information for it. And so we tested this a while back, and yeah, this has been a long time coming. So it's funny, like you guys remember, like this isn't like this isn't I mean, it might be out of left field for some of you, but remember the couple of times, and I've done this several times, where I've mentioned an arms race was brewing. I've been saying that over and over again, and I think you folks have a front row seat, and we all do, really, and you are getting glimpses of it continuously, which I think is really cool. And there are companies vying for pole position, and it's not stopping. Okay, and so when that happens, like, what's the net benefit? I think consumers get exceptional products. I think that's what the net benefit is. Some companies are using very advanced technologies, and they're doing so in both their design processes and their manufacturing processes, and in the silencers too. So you really have three different areas where you can leverage technology, right? You can do it like technology and engineering expertise. You can do that in design. You can leverage it in advanced manufacturing, and you can also leverage the inventions you create in the silencers. You can put them into practice, and that's three different tiers. And you're seeing that with not every company by any means, but several. Several companies are using a lot of computing simulation power to do really wonderful things, and that's true. It's factual. Other companies, maybe they've chosen to go a more empirical route in development. Meaning doing a lot of field testing, and when I mean a lot, I mean years of field testing, and that's fine, and they're still making competitive products. There's a lot of different ways to tackle an issue, and it's truly a sight to behold when you see all those different groups tackling problems in different ways. It's really, I mean, in my personal opinion, it's the spirit of engineering, and it's the spirit of engineering excellence and applied research, which has been my career for 2 decades now. So I think when PTR started doing the Vent series, a lot of people didn't know what to think, right? And now they probably still don't know what to think. I feel like things are happening so fast. When we talk about things coming out of left field, to use that cliche, this may be something like that if you've not been paying attention. But if you have been paying attention to the Vent series over the past year, and if you have any experience shooting them, the performance is undeniable. One thing folks have wondered about and also complained about is the size, right? So the Vent series was relatively long. We've seen that. This is the new Vent Spiritus 556i. It is actually 6 inches long without a mount. It has a hub back end, and it's constructed entirely of Inconel alloy. So the one you see in the photo with this podcast is a silver color. That's an R&D version, okay? I'm told the retail versions come in black. So there you go. All right, that's the information I have about that, the color. I don't have a black one, otherwise I would have taken a picture of it for you, okay? Now, this is a very unique silencer, and it has extremely unique performance. Like the other silencers of the Vent series, it does utilize PTR's purposely induced porosity, or PIP. As I spoke about with you previously, and is described in the technical articles in the Silencer Sound Standard at pewscience.com, PIP is a metal lattice structure, but it's not just any lattice structure. It's not just metal foam or steel wool. I think that's a dangerous oversimplification, and if you start to just simplify it like that, you might miss something. I think you got to respect what they're doing. I do not underestimate, folks. This is actually a tuned system. The porosity or the density of the lattice, it's controlled in the design. Okay? They alter it where needed. And when I mean alter, I mean alter the porosity when needed and then place it where needed. Okay? So keep in mind, this is not just something stuffed into the silencer. This is a technology that's monolithic with the rest of the silencer. Got your wheels turning right now, okay? The entirety of the system is 3D printed. Okay, so go listen to the podcast for the Vent 1, the Vent 2, the Vent 3 to learn more about how it works, and read the articles too. We've fully characterized those silencers, okay, and more will be coming from those too. So we fully trust. We know how this works. And we will of course talk more about this the technical performance of the Spiritus in the technical discussion on the podcast after SHOT Show next week. So the week after SHOT Show, when I'm back, we'll go into the deep dive. But for now, you have a lot of technical background on the technology to wet your whistle in the existing Vent articles, as well as the 2 articles on this silencer that are published today. You have a lot of information. So that should satisfy you for the time being. One very unique thing about this silencer, even for the Vent series, is there are some extra PIP vents. And this is actually a really important thing. There are 12 vents to be exact, and they are placed at the distal end radially. Okay, so it's venting through the end of the silencer, but it's also venting radially around the outer circumference near the end of the silencer. How many silencers do we know that do that? You've seen things like, silencers with like anchor brakes. Some KGM models did it. There's probably more that I can't think of off the top of my head. But like any silencer that uses a brake on the end is doing that in some way. Now, this is completely different than that, but I'm just giving you some information. So these vents that are radial by the distal end, which is near the end of the silencer where the bullet comes out, around the outer circumference, they're functional. And something I got permission from PTR to discuss with you is that they have been using radial PIP venting in their currently military-only products. Let me say that clearly. They're currently military-only products that aren't yet available for consumers. Those systems that exist, and I have seen them, I can promise you that they are real. Those systems that exist suppress things like large caliber ammunition, miniguns, things like that. And anytime you have exceptionally high pressure and you want to keep the length to a reasonable value, reasonable size, you can actually use radial PIP venting to increase the efficiency of the system. And we will talk about the technical reasons why on the next episode during the technical talk, but it's a quite brilliant method of suppression when used correctly, and it has some wild performance potentials, and you can see that in the articles today or whenever they're posted, which will be like around 0700 Central Time on Wednesday. Today is Tuesday when I'm recording this. But along those lines, you're going to notice that the suppression rating for this system on the Mark 18 is pretty high, especially at the shooter's ear. I think this is the first time a system has gotten this high at the shooter's ear and wasn't a Huxworks flow-through model. I want to say that's true. I think that's true on the Mark 18. And as many of you know and understand, like that's a really big deal because unlike Huxworks flow-through, the technology used in the PTR silencers is different. Okay, and they are hybrid designs. They're not flow-through designs. It's very important for you to understand. What does that mean? We've said it again and again, and it's in the articles again and again. This means that their momentum control is completely different. The gas velocities are different, and the way they behave around reflecting surfaces is also different. Okay, this means that in multiple environments, hybrid designs typically overshadow the performance of flow-through designs in performance. We've said it again and again. We keep saying it more often because more hybrid designs keep coming out. So check out the article. This is important. Now, the muzzle suppression on the Mark 18, it's very interesting with the silencer, and I know you guys are going to comment on it because you're sharp, and you should. This is a heavily discussed technical piece in the article, like heavily. There's great lengths in the article to explain. So I do encourage you to read it, and we will go through it in depth next episode after shot. But one thing to keep in mind is that all silencers with radial venting are sending blast load directly in line with the pressure sensor during blast testing. Right? Like that, does that make sense to you geometrically? Because remember, the silencer sound standard is the strict enhanced interpretation of mil standard 1474 echo, and therefore uses the standard pressure sensor locations. Remember, 1.0 meters left of the end cap, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field, which is what the mil standard dictates. You know, some people, they think the mil standard is only the microphone locations or something. Well, if you read the mil standard, it demands what the silencer sound standard demands on pewscience.com, which means true free field. There's a reason. It does. So you can imagine if you have a sensor in the mil standard location like we use and have always used, you can imagine what radial venting directed toward the sensor does. Now, what you might not imagine is how high the muzzle suppression rating with the silencer still is, even with that venting directly toward the sensor. And that part's pretty nuts. And that actually, it's actually relatively complicated, and it gets into wavelet generation, and we can talk about that phenomenon in the technical talk. We will. But wait, there's more, because technically I need to explain something else, and I know we can't go deep right now because this is just the intro, but I want to turn your attention to another technical tidbit. This one is of very high practical importance for all of you. In this test series, we discovered something very interesting that happens when you increase the barrel length with this particular silencer. And like I told you, we have another article to show you this. So this is perfect. I'm going to introduce that to you right now in the next topic at a time of 23 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, one moment, please. Let me see my notes there. And, whoa, 1 second. I need some water. Okay, yeah. And this is pertinent. So topic 2. So this is Sound Signature Review 6176, Tandem, second article published together. This is the same silencer we were just speaking about, but now instead of on the Mark 18 10.3-inch barrel carbine length gas system 070 gas port, this is on the M4A1RIII 14.5-inch barrel mid-length gas system 076 gas port. So it's a really amazing physical discovery and exceptional performance, and we're going to talk about this. Look, what happens when you go, so you see the suppression ratings, you'll see what happens when you take this silencer, put it on a 41% longer barrel, and then make the gun overgassed. Right? Because the M4 is like way overgassed compared to the Mark 18. If you didn't know that, but we have the data to prove that. So again, same silencer, exact same silencer. We put it on the good old Daniel Defense M4A1RIII mid-length gas, 14.5-inch upper gas port gets bigger, dwell time gets longer. You look at this and you're like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. And guys, even the Huxworks silencers suffer at the shooter's ear compared to what they do on the Mark 18. This host is overgassed. This is a case of an overgassed factory host, and it is what it is. It sucks, but at the same time, hey, conservative for the standard, conservative for public safety. I'm happy to keep publishing this. You feel me? Because if you haven't noticed this by now, this is for people. Okay, this is not for companies. Yeah, companies get a benefit, but this whole effort is for people at the end of the day, and for safety. So, conservative is good. This provides us with some excellent information, and in this test in particular, this weapon actually helped us understand something even cooler. I am so tickled about what we learned. I am so tickled about the technical lessons learned here. When you read both technical articles that are published today, you're going to see something, in my opinion, that is extremely interesting. There is actually a critical pressure threshold that can control distal radial venting phenomena with the VENT Spiritus 556i. This means that as you increase barrel length, the behavior changes. That much you may expect. However, what you may not expect is that once you trip below a certain threshold of input pressure, wild performance potential directly in line with the pressure sensor is possible with this silencer. Okay, so let that sink in for a second. We are seeing levels of muzzle suppression even when venting directly toward the pressure sensor that are unprecedented. And this is a 6-inch silencer, and it's Inconel, and it's high flow rate, and it has really good momentum control. So this is an important technological development, and I really think it's a very important step in suppressed small arms to understand how this PIP technology may behave in different applications and in different porosities and different gradients and locations. And so I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to see when PTR went shorter with the Vent series, right? But I think this is a very interesting step. And like I said in the first topic, they've been doing this with miniguns, guys, like in titanium, okay? And this one's Inconel. And people are like, I saw like people on the internet, they're like, well, I'm not sure about the firing schedule. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know what they're going to tell you, but okay. The silencer wars are heating up. Like in a big way. It's not advancement by just a little bit, guys. Like sure, there are some folks that are making little incremental changes, right? Which is good. That's something you love to see in certain stages of technology. That's part of technological progress. But there are companies, PTR being one of them, that are going into the deep end, and they're showing you stuff relatively quickly. Okay, so Now it's January of 2025. This research effort has been going on for about 5 years. So it'll be 5 years publicly in March of this year. That means that it has taken us roughly 4 to 5 years of examining all the high-tech stuff to uncover the gems. And use real engineering analysis to determine how to measure the performance of the gems that we find, and for enough companies to be created to have the gems get into consumer hands. Okay, so the fact that this time has arrived, and the number of years is less than 10 or 15. Makes me super happy we bet on this working. Talk about a gamble. Boy, was this a gamble. Like you know what could have happened. Do you understand like the gravity of this? Like, I guess for me, maybe it doesn't matter for you, but it matters a lot for me because we could have just analyzed a bunch of straight or curved cone silencers for 5 years and gotten to a depression. Okay. Like, luckily our job is exciting every day because a new type of silencer is made all the time, and manufacturing technologies are getting nuts. This would not be fun, and I don't think we would do it if everything was a damn curved cone or a K-baffle. I would lose my mind. I would honestly lose my mind. And do you remember the early days of Pew Science? I was losing my mind. You know how many curved cone silencers we had to test to explain to you what happens with every single one of them? If you're new to Pew Science, this is all documented. And by the way, I do these podcasts, so it is documented. Nothing's erased. It's all there. This is a historical record, and someday, someone is gonna listen to every one of these, and understand that like we did it this way for a reason. Trust me. So now, you can't just get a 3D printer, a CAD program, and make something good. Okay, trust me. We've seen some disasters that have come through our laboratory. I am not going to tell you, I'm not naming any names, but we have seen some disasters. Now, in PTR's case, they are using the technological know-how with the manufacturing to create some really special stuff. So, I mean, I'm excited. It's exciting, right? Things are getting nuts. Who doesn't want to see stuff advance? If anyone that is genuine about this, it gets excited when there's advancement. So go check out the articles. They'll be live in the morning around 0700 Central or so. It is likely, again, that the next podcast with the technical discussion will take place after SHOT Show due to my schedule. I've done podcasts during SHOT Show before, and it's not good for my health, and I'm frankly not going to do that this year. If that is the case, and you don't get more information from me until after SHOT, thank you for your patience. I do appreciate it. But one benefit of that is it's going to allow the data and analysis to marinate with you for a while before we speak about it technically. And then you will be very primed to take in all the nerd talk with less emotions, because I know how emotional people get about silencers. And if it's not your favorite brand, you might get really mad. And I know that can be traumatic. So this will help lessen the blow, okay? So thank you for all your support. And hey, thanks to PTR for trusting our laboratory to continue to characterize their silencers when PTR was only a roller gun company, and now they're responsible for putting out silencers that are crazy. So thank you, PTR, for trusting us to do it. We're honored to be able to do it. So it's cool. All you folks that support this, you're amazing. All you clients are amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this quick talk. Hope it sparks your interest in a new technology. Hope it sparks your interest in some physics that are really cool to understand that I don't think anyone's really seen before, characterized like this. And, the articles should be ready for your perusal. So go ahead and check those out. I will talk with you folks again soon. Please stay safe. Okay, bye.